remember sitting at Bay Hill in the locker room. I knew we were running out of money. Well, I wasn't sure we really weren't going to be able to cover payroll. I'm about to have a heart attack. Are we going to make it? Or are we going under? And he said, I don't know. He said, well, just do the best you can.
I don't think there's any question that the Golf Channel was the predecessor to the NFL channel, the tennis channel, the MLB channel, NBA channel. Everything has come from that iteration of the Golf Channel. But you know, you why don't you tell us a little bit about how your upbringing, your involvement in the game of golf, and we'll go from there.
Uh, I'm a golf nut and started playing golf, I think, around 8 years old. My father was a golf nut. I just grew up playing golf and loved it. Um, and, went to school, got out of school, went to work in public accounting. And one of my clients was actually Joe Gibbs' company. It's called Masada Corporation. And they were in the cable TV business and cellular business, home security monitoring, etc. And I was his tax guy, and he hired me to come work for him, which I was thrilled about because I always wanted to be out in industry, and especially with entrepreneurial guys like Joe and his partners were.
Mm-hmm.
So, I worked for him for a number of years, and they were kind of the partners, principals there were going and doing more of their own thing. Um, and so Joe was he was looking for something else to do, and he came up with the idea of a 24-hour day golf channel. Being in the communications industry back then, everybody was talking about 500 channel cable systems and HD TV. And so, you know, he lived at Shoal Creek, and he had Arnold Palmer stay with him during the PGA Championship. I think it was in 1990. And so one day we went to lunch a lot, just obviously because we worked together. He was my boss. And we're sitting at Bo's restaurant in Birmingham, and he just came out and said, I've been thinking about some new idea. Um, I don't think he told anybody about it at the time. Maybe he had. I don't know how long he'd been thinking about it. And he said, what do you think about a 24-hour day golf channel? And that was, I think, early 1991. And of course, I'm young and uh, a golf nut anyway. And I said, oh, that's a great idea. Let's do it. That ought to be easy. Everybody loves that. Little did I know it wasn't easy, but um, that's kind of where it first came up. And I thought it was a great idea. And you know, so I did what I could to help Joe um, pursue it. So he's a tremendous entrepreneur, a real visionary. So he decided, well, here's what we need to do. A couple of guys put up a little money, four of us or so, and had a little bank account. Joe started doing research. First thing he did, I think, was commission the Gallup poll. I think that was like June of '91, just to see if there was interest in it and would people watch it. And so we did that, and the research came back good. And so, and in the meantime, Joe was doing a lot of research, talking to people who had other networks like I can't remember who it was, but it might have been the Sci-Fi Channel. Talked to the guy who worked there, and kind of put together a business plan over a period of time. Number us sat down and decided, what do we think we need to do to move forward? And first thing out of Joe's mouth, we need somebody to really open some doors for us. And he said, we'll see if we can get Arnold Palmer involved. And of course, I know he's the king of golf. And I said, that'd be great. And so since, Arnold stayed at Joe's house during the PGA, they developed a relationship. So Joe called him up, said, hey, I got a business plan. I'd like to let you look over and see if you're interested. And so Arnold said, well, sure, I'll swing by, stop in on my way to Orlando and Birmingham, meet me out at the airport, and I'll hear what you got to say. So, and then I remember Joe calling me right after that. I was at home, it was on the weekend, and we met, me and another guy named Chris Mervin, who was our lawyer. One of the guys that put up money with us met at Vestavia Country Club, and Joe gave us the good news that Arnold was in. Arnold came in and opened the door for Joe to go see a guy named Mark McCormick at International Management Group. Joe went up and met with him, and of course he controlled rights to all the foreign tours at the time. And then actually McCormick said he wanted in, so he came in. And that was kind of the group that we started with. And then we went out and said, well, we need some seed money. We don't want anybody to know what we're doing or somebody will steal the idea, which in fact did almost happen at one point. But so we went and talked to friends, business associates. There was a guy in Boston that was part of the initial founders' money that had raised capital for us in the past. And so he had a group of people he could go talk to. And amongst those guys and Joe's friends and business associates and some of ours, we raised seed money so we could go out and lock down rights to foreign tours, like the European tours, South African tour, in transponder space for that matter. And for Joe to travel and try to raise the real money we needed to launch this golf channel.
How
And
how fast was this all moving? Was this done within a 6 month window, a 3 month window? How?
oh no, the 91 was uh, the, the initial founders money we put up. 92 we were raising. I believe it's early 92 when he started uh, raising initial seed money to go lock down rights with tours, um, go out and get transponder locked up, lock these rights down so people can't basically steal the idea from us, trademark the company, etc. And then we announced, once we had that, we announced what we were doing. Arnold and Joe announced that they were going to start a golf channel. And I believe it was either late 92 or early 93. I can't remember. But we announced it to the public. Um, and then we started trying to raise the big money we needed to build the studios, hire people. So Joe and went out banging on their door, and we were hoping to launch in 94, but we couldn't get the big money. Um, and so we got through, I believe we got through 93, and we didn't raise the real money we needed. So we had to raise a little more seed money to buy options. What we were buying were options for the rights to these tour events.
Mm.
So, if we launched, we had the rights to them. In order to have those rights, we pay option payments. And so we had to raise some more seed money to extend the options through 94 and hope we launched in 95. And Joe got that money raised. We extended the options, and Joe kept chasing the big money from the cable operators or whoever would give us big money. Fortunately, one guy really liked the idea. His name was Tim Near. He was with Continental Cablevision. He was really behind us hard, and I think he was vice chairman of Continental or whatever. But he got involved hard with Joe and rounded up. I think it was about 6 cable operators who said, we aren't going to give you what we wanted, I think $100 million. We'll give you 60, and y'all ought to be able to do it that way as a pay channel. Um, we didn't want to do it as a pay channel, but we wanted to do it as a regular cable channel. And uh, but they gave us 60 million. They agreed to it. I think that was May of '94, and uh, then in June, I think June 1, uh, Joe went down to Florida and found office space and place to build our studios, and we started hiring a bunch of people and building out. I went down in August. We hired people and built it out and launched it January 17th of '95, which was a big day. It was an exciting day.
Well, you're talking about a 6 month time frame of finding an office to build out of studios and hiring people and being ready to flip the switch. That's a full load, isn't it?
It was. The guy in charge of building out the studio, I don't know if you talked to him, was a guy named Matt Scalisi. Um, he had helped us put the business plan together. He had built ETWN network. When we got the money, he knew what he needed to buy. We found the space pretty quick. And he built that thing out fast, or
Hmm.
oversaw the build out, and everybody was really just going full blast. And
Did you realize the scope of what you were getting into when this whole thing was came from an idea?
probably not. No, I'd be lying if I said I did. You know, I was a young guy too. To me it made sense. I thought it'd be great fun. I didn't realize how hard it would be to get there. Um, but when you're moving fast and you just go, 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 you really never stop uh, and think about negative stuff. Just keep plowing along. We about went bust '96 because we knew when we got the initial money from the cable operators that wasn't going to be enough to get us to profitability.
Yeah.
So we about went bust in '96 twice, and each time we were lucky enough to get a little more money, and then the final money came in that really took us over the hump was in August of '96 when Fox came in, and Tim Near was invaluable in making that happen, and they gave us enough money. They actually gave us $50 million in, gave us enough money where gave us the opportunity to get to break even, which we
Hmm.
did. So there were some trying times. I remember sitting at Bay Hill in the locker room, and it was in '96, and I was worried. And I think Joe was too, probably. He didn't show it much. And we played golf on Saturday, and I knew we were running out of money. I mean, I wasn't sure we really were going to be able to cover payroll late August, and Tim Near was involved with Joe, and we didn't know how it was going to turn out. And I called Joe out of the locker room. I said, I got to talk to you. I'm about to have a heart attack. Are we going to make it? Or are we going under?
Yeah.
And he said, I don't know. He said, well, just do the
Gosh.
best you can. I went, Wow. Okay. Went
Yeah,
in, got
being
another
being the
beer.
CFO, you were right in the middle of all of
Oh,
that
I
from
was,
and had a firsthand front row seat to the financial
it
picture
was,
of the company.
it was, my eyes very grim. I was positive. I felt, we would get it. I remember Tim Near did call me one afternoon and ask him for some numbers and stuff. And I asked him point blank, I said, are we going to make it? We don't get money. He said, I'm trying,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
fortunately we did. I came home next week, came back to Birmingham for vacation, but I remember that clearly.
Hmm.
So I think we hit break even in 98 on a monthly basis, sometime 98. And then we got word Comcast Corporation was trying to buy out the cable operator. It flat out surprised us. We didn't know they were doing that. And they were trying to get control of the company. And we found out about it. There was one cable operator that wouldn't sell out, nor would we sell our founder stock and management stock. Um, so there was no way for Comcast to really get control without taking us out, those two parties. So in late 98, Joe cut a deal with Comcast to sell founder stock and our management stock that to Comcast at a minimum value at the end of 1999, that and or an appraisal done by three appraisers. And so we had a put call option agreement with Comcast December 31, 1999, and which was great. And we had certain numbers we had to hit, and we hit them. So we did appraisals in uh, late 99, early January, February. So it had to be done by January 31st, 2000. We got the appraisal in. They came out great, uh, well above the minimum. And Comcast bought all that out. Uh, it was actually February 29th, 2000, it's a leap year.
Hmm.
And that's the day they control the company. And then they kept us on. They gave us contracts to stay on and keep running the company for a period of time. And so we did. And as time went on, the original guys, they're all gone.
Yeah.
But I worked consulted with them after I quit. I quit at the end of 2002. And I think I was really about the last guy from the original group. And I consulted with them for 5 more years after that. And the company really grew and flourished beyond anything I could ever imagine. It's still kind of like fairyland in my world. See it like it is. But it was a
Well,
fun time. And the truth is we were we worked hard, but we were very lucky, uh, many times. So uh, we're very thankful, or at least I am.
Uh,
That kind of
seems,
a story.
seems like it was right place, right time for you, and for the Golf Channel.
Oh, it was. Um, you get out in the fray and you try to run around and hopefully something sticks to you. And we were lucky enough this one did. Joe came up, like I said, uh, true visionary, unbelievable. And not just because of this, but because of his previous companies.
hmm.
I mean, he was on the cutting edge of cellular telephone company. back in the '80s, and I'm working for him.
Yeah.
He saw that and went out and raised money to buy the permit that was auctioned off at the government markets like Huntsville and Daytona Beach. And I thought he was half crazy. That's never going to work. And sure, it sure did. He built a big company and made a lot of money doing that.
How was your golf game during this time?
Yeah. Uh, Actually, it was funny. I just started playing decent when all this started. Um,
Hmm.
and I'd get to play it. I got to play Saturday and Sunday most of the time. I didn't really play any tournaments, but the first year we were there, I wasn't playing much at all. In 91, 94, we moved down there, and the Bay Hill Club Championship was in December down there just because that's when the weather's great. And I ain't been playing. My wife told me, I said, well, I miss golf. And I told her they had the club championship. And I said, I ain't playing no good. She goes, you ought to go play and meet some of the guys over there. I went, oh, okay. And I was lucky it was bad weather. And I'm a good bad weather player. And I won the club championship once, uh, which was fun. And it got my juices back on the golf scene. So that
I
was a
bet.
fun time.
Well, that had to be a treat getting to play Bay Hill all the time.
Oh, it was a fabulous place, fabulous club, fabulous group. You know, when Arnold was down there, I don't know if you ever saw the article in Sports Illustrated about the shootout that they had there. Um, they played every day, 365 days a year. And we'd end up with anywhere from 20 to 80 people every every Saturday, Sunday, Friday, uh, especially when Arnold was there. You'd have Arnold, you'd have other touring pros playing in the shootout. It was just a great game. Uh,
Yeah.
I can't remember
Hey,
when I had such fun in golf.
You had a saint for a wife who tells you to go play in the club championship. That doesn't
Well,
happen in every household.
that's true. I mean, good point. She's probably trying to get me out of the house and probably wasn't in the greatest of moods back then,
mm,
worrying about trying to survive. You know, I woke up the day we moved there, and we're living out in Orange Grove, which is nice. Uh, and I woke up in the bed the day after we moved in, and I looked at her and I said, "What in the hell have I done, baby? I put us in harm's way." And she said, "We're here, uh, for better or worse." And so she was very
yeah.
supportive. You know, I wasn't around a whole lot. Uh, she brought her kids up there, and
Mm.
it was a great time. It really was.
From a financial guy's standpoint, how challenging was it with so many balls in the air at one time? Money coming in, money going out.
Um, it wasn't too bad. I kept a little black book on the corner of my desk for years. I always look at it. So what is that? And I said, run a batch of checks. You know what we owe. Give me the check register. Pull. You know, and give me all the receipts. And I just write down that number and kept a running cash balance. When real finance is kind of how trying to make it simple and be on top of stuff. You had to do the books, but that's
Yeah.
how I could keep track of everything every day. And some days I a little late on sending checks out, just make sure we didn't run out of any money.
Well, you won the club championship at Bay Hill. What year was that?
I won it in '94, and that's when I met all the guys, and they invited me to join the shootout. So I'm a lifetime member of the shootout, which is great. And then I won it in '98, 2000, 2000. I won it 4 or 5 times. I actually
You getting
beat
back
them.
down there and play any?
I haven't in a while. I did up through about 2010. I just don't get back anymore. But my
Yeah.
I, I knew Arnold's grandson very well. Uh, and I beat him, Sam Saunders, you know who he is.
Hmm.
Um, Beat him for the club championship one year, which was fun. He's a wonderful kid, grown man now. I beat Eric Cole one year, which was fun. These were kids.
Yeah.
When I was playing, I went to the first tee one year, and it was Eric Cole and I'm gonna say Titron or somebody in the last group. Well, they weren't old enough to drive a golf cart, so I had to drive. And Rove had to drive them. So it was
I'll
an
bet.
old man playing these guys. Um, but like I said, it was fun. Great kids, all of them were.
Yeah.
They made me a better player. So it was a fun time. But
How often did you tee it up with Arnold?
a good bit. I played a lot of golf with him. Uh, and we would have bets together. Me and him would partner up and play whoever. We played what you call a walk-in, which just match play. Whoever was up at the end won $20 or $50. Um, I remember clearly the first time I ever played with him in the shootout, and I got paired with him. Obviously, he was a captain, and I could hardly breathe. And down there then, people would come out and just watch, like you had a gallery. Of course, I'm not used to that. And they announced the names over an intercom as we kicked off. They go first group in the shootout, Mr. Palmer, Mr. Wood. I'm like, oh my God. So I went up there. All I'm trying to do is not whiff it. And he makes a bet. And he says, tell me and you were playing so and so and so and so. And I said, oh Lord. And of course, he thinks I can play because I won the club championship. Like, I ain't got nothing to do with my nerves right now. And we were
Yeah.
trying, and we got on number two, it's a long par three. And Arnold knocked it over the green, and I knocked it just right in the green. Uh, Arnold didn't get up down. I actually hit a good chip in there about 3 feet. And he got knocked that in we needed. And I wasn't sure I was going to draw it back. I stood over that ball, and somehow I snatched it, and it jumped in the side hole, which was a miracle. And they just looked at me and said, Dale, I said, yes, sir. He said, breathe, son, breathe. And I went, oh my God. He saw me joking bad.
Yeah.
Uh, he was trying to relax me. It never
Mm.
worked.
Never worked.
It never worked. Even after lots of golf with him, I was always nervous playing with him. None of the other
Mm.
ones, pros, just him. Um, but it was fun. I got to where I, you know, not shoot 80 with him. Go out and play a half decent round. But he was a great guy. Great guy.
What tees were y'all playing in those shootouts?
Well, there were special set of tees called shootout tees. The back tees down there were green. That's where that's where all the pros play, like Lee Jansen or whoever come over and play. The shootout tees were just up from that. Then they had the member tees, and then the senior tees, women tees. They had about 6 or 7 sets of tees. So we were one tee from being back, and it was long, long golf course.
Mm-hmm.
It's 7,000 yards, 7,200 yards from there. But those guys made it look easy. The pros will say that's one of the tougher golf courses they play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they don't cut the rough short down there ahead of the Bay Hill.
No, and they kept making it longer. Arnold would buy a lot on the hole and extend the length of it, and it got to be it's a real challenge. I don't think they play the thing all the way back on every hole, even today when they play the Invitational down there. Then again, nowadays the guys are hitting it so long it doesn't matter. They
Mm.
play 9,000 yard golf course probably.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, they do. They hit it a long way.
yeah, they're getting long. I'm getting shorter. I can't hit it. Can't hit it out of my shadow anymore. Terrible.
Somehow I don't believe. I think that's the first embellishment we've heard on this episode.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Well, it
I,
it probably made playing with Mr. Palmer at Bay Hill and the shootout group probably makes things a little less challenging playing with the group out there at Hoover Country Club.
oh, it does. It does. Um, you know, it. I still kind of competitive or want to be. So if you get a few bets, I still feel some nerves every now and then just because I want to win so bad. But nothing like nothing like that. Um,
Yeah.
when
but
when you left the Golf Channel, what did you do? Where did your career go from there? Or did you just sit back and retire?
I guess I started uh, I started a little business buying houses and uh, really got a foreclosure and fixing them up and reselling them. Uh, did that actually, I just quit that about 2 years ago. Um, so that gave me something to do, and then we had actually Arnold and Joe, me and Chris and some other guy. Uh, we started a college um, down in South Florida back in, I guess it was 2002. Um, so I did a little work on that. I didn't have a full time job, let's put it that way. And then again, I worked for the Golf Channel for 5 years after I quit.
Yeah.
All that big.
I'd just like to hear what's the best shot you ever saw Arnold hit?
I don't know, the one where he hit the driver on 18 from the fairway at the end of his career and rolled the
Yeah.
driver on. That was probably his
Mhm.
best. It was exciting for him anyway. Uh, saw him hit so many good shots. You know, even and he wasn't playing like he used to play, and he was a great player. But be an icon and the star power he had to be as down to earth and nice man as he was is unbelievable. Uh, you just wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
Was
Everybody that you talk to has says the same thing.
It's
was
crazy,
he a
It
guy
has
that
to be.
you followed on tour when you were growing up, or
Oh,
whose corner were
absolutely.
you in?
I, I, well, I was a Jack Nicklaus fan, just because he was more my time. Arnold was before real golf nut days. But I knew who Arnold was. I thought the world of him too. But I was
Sure.
probably a Jack guy until I got to meet Arnold, and then I was always an Arnold guy. Um, but like I said, the guys on tour today, uh, one thankful for all he did for golf, and you know, hopefully they can aspire to be the kind of man he is. I can't say enough about him.
Yeah.
You know, and his grandkid. I mean, his whole family. Look how he raised them, just quality guys.
Absolutely. I had one interaction with him at Bay Hill on our way down to the PGA show, and he couldn't have been nicer, and, carved out 15, 20 minutes for us. He was down hitting balls and, just down to earth. It's not a guy you really were intimidated talking to after a minute or two.
Yeah, you think you like, you're shocked, or because you don't expect that. And he was always that way. He had his little corner on the range where he'd hit balls. Everybody tried to get close to him to hit balls so you could talk and listen to what he had to say. And I miss
Mm-hmm.
being able to do that. That was fun. But,
Yeah.
days go by. At least I got some good memories.
Yep. You
Yeah.
sure do.
So just kind of to wrap this up, when you look back at that time in your life, and see what the Golf Channel has become today, how proud are you of what y'all accomplished and kind of set in motion?
I'm extremely proud. Those were some of the uh, best days of my life. You know, like I said, we worked hard, but we were very lucky. I mean, I thank God for all that. Uh, you know, there was a light shined on us to be able to pull that off, and so I'm very thankful. I'm proud of it, uh, and I love that time, and I love the memories.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of how I look at it,
Well,
and it's fun
Dale,
to
we
talk about with you guys.
yeah. Well, we appreciate you taking some time out of your day. Sorry
Sure,
that you're feeling a little under the weather, but thank you for taking some time and spending with us and sharing a little bit of the Golf Channel story from your perspective as the CFO of the Golf Channel back in its infancy.
the dark ages.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Well,
welcome. Thrilled to do it. Help in any other way, just let me know.
We appreciate it.
we will. We will. Again, thanks a lot. It's a remarkable story. Again, as we try to chronicle golf in Alabama, I'm not sure a lot of people know the real story of the Golf Channel and how it started in Birmingham. The idea came out of Birmingham, so we're just trying to document that, and it's a wonderful story.
Great. Now that we appreciate you doing it.
All right. Thanks again.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Take care.
Greg, what stands out to me in this episode is the Golf Channel wasn't guaranteed. It wasn't an inevitable thing that it would happen. Uh, Dale covers real moments where it just could have disappeared.
Yeah, and without it, without the Golf Channel and their foresight, the golf media looks completely different today. There no dedicated network, no blueprint for niche sports channels. The entire model started with risk.
And that risk traced all the way back to Birmingham, Alabama. There's a small group. We've been fortunate enough so far to kind of document some of these people, but people like Dale who were willing to stay in when the numbers said it might not work.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're trying to do here on the Cart Barn podcast is document that history of golf in Alabama.
Yeah. Well, if you like these kind of conversations, make sure you're following the Cart Barn podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, and certainly subscribe on YouTube. Downloads and subscriptions directly determine how far these stories can be reached.
And if you like this episode, share it with somebody who loves golf history, because this one really matters.
Yeah. Well, for Greg DeWalt, I'm Chris Limley. We'll see you next week on the Cart Barn Podcast.